Cartoon commentary is not intended for children. Tom, Keith, and Cory are usually wrong, and anything they say can and probably will offend you. Apologies in advance. Commence the podcast.
Cartoon commentary.
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Cartoon Commentary, a podcast where three nematodes in their 30s talk about old, new, and sometimes weird cartoons. I'm Cory, Cool Thoughts Zamir.
I'm Tom, Pork Chop O'Connell.
Oh, that makes me Keith, Quailman Barnofsky.
Nice.
And today we're talking about Doug, but no, probably not the Doug that you're used to. Keith, for some reason, decided to pick a Disney Doug episode that I don't think I ever saw as a kid, and I probably had mentally checked out on as a kid back when Disney took over.
Well, so let me
Older woman.
let me explain to you the intense methodology of me picking this episode. The title of the episode is called Doug's Older Woman.
And that did it for you?
That was it. That was that was 100%. I was like, you know what? I had a hankering for some Doug. I haven't probably watched an episode of Doug in over 20 years. And
I'm glad you said Doug. I thought you were about to say you had a hankering for older women.
Well, my wife is a year older than me, so technically,
Hey, so is Cassandra.
I'm living in that world. There you go. I really jive with Doug on this episode.
Yeah, apparently.
At a one superficial point level.
And I mean, we all know Tom's preference for older women, so, you know.
We're talking about your mom, Keith.
Oh. I was like, there's something really dirty. There's something really dirty in there. What is the dirty joke in there? Oh, it's about my mom? Yeah, whatever. I knew that one.
Yep, checks out.
Yep. I was waiting. I'm like, he doesn't get it. I don't think he gets it. I'm going to have to point it out.
Oh, man.
So literally, I chose the episode because it sounded funny. It sounded like they were being somewhat like a little bit provocative in the name of the episode. I remember Doug being a great show. I did not look into the Disney takeover of Doug and like when that split was. I mean, we were just talking about how on Disney Plus, this is season 3, episode 4, but in the actual Doug TV show series, it's season 7, episode 2. So there's a delineation that Cory is not happy with on how this played out with Doug and Disney.
Well, did you watch the show back in the day? Like, I remember this was like one of my go-to shows along with Rugrats.
So
it would usually be...
I did watch plenty of Doug, but I did not like... Doug was one of those shows for me that was like a comfort show. It wasn't like I was fanatic about it, though. Like, I watched it back in the day because it was... Anytime it was on, it was just a very solid show. Like, if you came across it while channel surfing, which... Younger listeners, you're not going to understand what that is because you just go to a streaming service and just pick what you want to watch. But when you used to scroll through cable channels and you came across Doug, you were like, all right, solid. I'm not going to go any further because this is a decent show. But it was not like I didn't like wake up early in the morning to catch an episode of Doug kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not something you go out of your way for, but I remember watching it primarily at like dinner time for me. It would be like around 5, 6 o'clock, whatever it was, whatever time we ended up eating dinner at. And I remember it would go Rugrats, then Doug. And, you know, that was perfect.
Yep.
You know what? That's why I would end up watching Doug myself, because normally I never would, because I never got into the show. I've watched it a lot, but I just never was attached to it. And I think the only reason I watched it was because it starts after Rugrats, which I used to watch and I enjoyed very much. And was there a show after it? Maybe it was sandwiched between two shows I really liked.
I'm not sure. I feel like after a certain point, it would switch over. I'm trying to remember. Was Snick just like a Saturday thing, or was that just like an every night thing?
They had an afternoon, Snick in the afternoon, didn't they?
Yeah,
Or
I think it started as a Saturday thing, but then they expanded it because it was very popular.
Yeah.
oh, they did
The
something
thing
with
is
Stick
with,
Stickly.
Yeah, he was like an afternoon after school kind of thing.
Yeah, and I
What I
remember
remember.
they would have like a wheel and they'd spin it and they'd randomly pick shows.
Yep.
I remember I used to get so
Yeah,
disappointed
quote-unquote
when it would go
randomly.
on Doug.
Oh, really?
Well,
See,
when there was
there was
other
always
things on there.
Yeah, like especially when you didn't know what would be next, like you couldn't just look at the TV guide.
Yeah.
And for our younger listeners, a TV guide is a kind of like am I gonna have to go through all the hoops of like explaining what a magazine is
Oh, it's kind of like when
and what a
Moses
newspaper is?
when Moses had those
no, just look it up.
tablets with the commandments etched in on them. It's like that, but they're made out of
Yeah.
trees. This is really hard to explain. So it was it was
All right,
the
so cable
rules of the
television.
TV.
Television is the thing that you watch your Netflix on, I guess, and your
Wait.
YouTube.
Wait.
But it used to just be programmed shows that
Is
you
that-
didn't just get to select at your leisure.
But is that what TV stands for? Television?
Yeah, oddly enough,
You learn something new every day.
they're gonna have to change what we call it. No, they won't. But we're getting into the
But
weeds
they
here.
should. But they should.
Yeah, so the main gripe I have with us starting off with watching a Doug episode that's in the Disney era is they kind of like switched. I think the way they handled it was like kind of like going from elementary school to middle school. Because as far as I remember, they weren't in middle school in the first like 5 or so seasons of Doug.
True. I think they were
Really?
towards like the end of elementary school, like 4th grade, 5th grade.
Yeah, I think they were in like a 6th grade where 6th grade was an elementary school kind of thing.
Huh.
I mean, so let's get into the.
Well, like they had lockers. I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's true. Well, I had lockers at elementary school. Like they didn't have combination
Really?
We
locks
didn't,
on them.
That's
I
weird.
didn't have any at mine.
Yeah, me either.
Really? We did. Well, we didn't. We didn't in the younger grades. But when you hit like 4th and 5th grade, there were lockers to like put your coat and books. Like
No.
you didn't change.
Were they in the hallway
classrooms.
or in the classroom?
Yeah, they were in the hallway.
That's weird.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, they were like top and bottom lockers too. So they were like cut in half.
I guarantee the reason they did that is to get you ready for like middle school.
Oh yeah, yeah.
and not
absolutely.
because that's how it was like planned. But
Oh yeah, they even actually because back like the elementary school I went to was so small that like there was only one class in most grades, and what they would have, they didn't have mine do it because there was only one class for us. But actually, there was
Yeah.
a couple other classrooms where there were 2 classes per grade. So when they got to 5th grade, what they would do is halfway
Yep.
through the day, they would make all the kids get up and
Yep.
walk across the hall to the other room like you were
I had to
going to
do
your
that.
next class. And it was like such a bullshit thing. So it was like, that's not preparing you for going to the middle school, which is like 8 times the size, and you have to walk like comparatively, your mindset is like you have to walk through a labyrinth of 300 other people roaming the hallways to get to your next class. Like that doesn't prepare you for that. They
No,
should just
it was just a waste of time. That's all it was.
yeah, it was them saying that they were doing something to try to prepare you for that. So that way, if a parent that was overly anxious about their kid going to middle school was like, "Oh, what are you doing to prepare them?" And you're like, "Well, I make them stand up once during the day and walk across the hall." And they're like, "Okay, that checks out. Checks out."
yeah.
So let's get into this episode. This dumpster fire Doug episode, because I didn't watch it ahead of time. I picked it purely on the title, like I said, and didn't
We gotta
realize that it
start
was
vetting these things,
Oh
man.
yeah, no, no, we don't. Because you know what? Even if it's bad, we still talk about
still
it.
something to
we
talk
just
about,
get to
yeah.
shit all over it, man. It's like it's
God,
like
I don't. But the thing is, I don't want to shit on Doug.
I do.
well, we can go
I
watch a good
kind of.
episode.
Well, I mean,
We can watch
it's
a
the
Quail
Disney
Man
version.
We can
so-
watch a Quail
Yeah.
Man centric episode after this, and we will probably love it so much more because we watched a shitty episode first.
Well, I told Corey before we started, this episode didn't have Mr. Dink in it, and if you had an episode with him featuring him and Skeeter, okay, I could watch it. I could like that, but I could really give a crap about the rest of the characters.
Nah, I mean when Doug is Quail Man, that was like the best.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the episode starts out. Doug meets up with Skeeter at the school. They read a poster that says there's the Bluffington Blowout Barbecue and Beach Bash. Quite an alliteration. It also says there will be swimming, dancing, and strictly chaperoned social interactions. I like how they.
So no sex.
Yeah,
Sounds like a great time.
they're like these seventh graders. No touching. Like.
No fucking on our watch.
Wait till you get to high school for that, for God's
Yep.
sake. So, Doug basically says to Skeeter, he was like, this is perfect. This is the most important, this is going to be the most important day of my life, which I don't know, like, I was really wondering where he was going to go with that, because I'm like, it's a barbecue beach party that your school's throwing, which is strictly chaperoned. Like literally they put that in writing, and you're like, this is gonna be the best day of my life. I'm going to ask out Patty. And Skeeter's like,
Yeah.
but you've asked her out like a million times to do stuff. And Doug's like, but
Yeah.
I've never officially done it. And it's like,
Oh my god.
so that should have tipped me off to that it was like a Disney thing. I don't know, because they were like, well, we wanted to remaster this interaction. So before,
Yeah, they wanted to make it their own.
yeah.
Just like they did with Star Wars.
I was just gonna
Oh,
do
God.
that.
Nope.
Yep.
Changing topics because
No,
Corey's
see,
gonna...
see, I actually have some words for you about Star Wars. If you watched our or if you listened to our last episode talking about Disney's treatment of Star Wars, and I just wanted to say, while I was driving today, I kind of came up with the way they could have done it and what should have done,
Okay.
and it's pretty simple. Have you heard of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit,
Yeah.
Yeah,
these books?
I think so.
Well, they kind of adapted those in the movies, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Star Wars has all these books that were already written by people that were much better writers than any of the people they hired to write these movies that they just put out. What if you just decide that from the jump you're okay with recasting people?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to wait for 30 years after
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi to start telling stories because everybody's that old now. And you're just like, all right, here's the new guy that's playing Luke Skywalker. Here's the new Princess Leia. Here's the new Han Solo. And the thing with that is, what you can do is you then just recast them as time
Yeah.
goes on. Like, I'm not saying knock out all the Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Leia movies in the next, 10 years while these actors...
You're gonna James
still-
Bond it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Make
Yes.
it more about the character and less about the actor
Yes.
that portrays them, which in a way kind of diminishes the original trilogy a little bit, but not in the same way of shitting on it that the new trilogy
Well,
did.
that's the thing is it diminishes the original trilogy, but it preserves the integrity of all the good storylines and writing that has been done.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Not
you
to
know,
mention, there are so many good books out there, even obscure ones like Splinter in the Mind's Eye, that would just be a banger to watch in like a theater.
Mm.
Like it tells the tale of like Luke Skywalker encountering Darth Vader in an encounter that doesn't happen in the movies.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the first books written, and I think that's what they should have started with. And now it's kind of weird because it happens between, I believe it happens between A New Hope and Empire, so it's kind of weird in that regard. But like if you're just looking for a new trilogy, I don't know,
Yeah.
talk to Timothy Zahn, heir to the what was it, Heir to the Force trilogy,
I think that's.
Heir to the
I could
Empire,
I could
heir,
picture
heir
the
to
cover.
something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's three books. It's a
Yep.
trilogy. It's amazing, and there's just so many other things they could have done. But that was basically all I needed to get out. I needed to say the words.
Had to vent it. I
I
get
had
it,
to
man.
say the words. What were
So,
we talking about?
Doug.
like I said, Doogie, Doug,
Doug. Doug.
and his
Doogie
friend
Howser.
and his friend Scooter,
Doogie Howard?
Scooter.
Scooter.
So,
Fuck.
you never watched Doog with his friend Scooter and Mr. Donk?
No.
No?
It's my favorite.
The girl that he pines over? Hattie?
That must be the Cartoon
Patty
Network
Ketchup?
version of Doug.
Yeah. It's a knockoff Doug. It's
Yeah.
it's right next to the Vegetable Loops cereal. So
Yum.
So anyway, Skeeter's just like, but you haven't asked her out. Like you've asked her out like a million. You've hung out with her a million times. He's like, but not officially. So right after he says that, basically like the most popular girl in the school, who's apparently in 8th grade and Doug is in 7th grade, she's like eyeing him from across the hall, and then comes over and asks him if she wants to go to the beach party with him, and he's like, "Can I get back to you?"
Yeah. Totally. He totally kind of brushes it off, but while fainting.
Yeah, yeah. And she was like, okay, like, don't keep me waiting, whatever. Like, honestly, I don't know. I was in middle school. If you did that to a girl, she would, like, if a girl, number one, came up to a guy and did that when we were in middle school, and then the guy, number one, the guy would never say no. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
they,
exactly.
they would just be like, yeah, yep, every time. I didn't even look at your face yet, and yes.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, probably.
Number
Yeah.
two, if he was just like, "Could I get back to you?" the girl would run off and cry because like that's rejection. So
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Though, if he were to do that, she would deserve it because we do learn what this girl is all about later on.
Cassandra.
Yeah,
Cassandra.
she's a trash
Cassandra.
pile.
So
Sandra Bleem.
Doug then basically professes to Skeeter that he doesn't want to go with Cassandra because he wants to go with Patty. That was his original plan. But then, like, literally all these other dudes in his class start, like, coming up to him, just being like, "Oh, man, you're going with Cassandra. That's fucking baller. Like, we're so proud of you." And he's like, "This literally happened 3 seconds ago, and I told her I'll get back to you." And now everybody's like, "You're going with Cassandra, and that's awesome."
Yeah, so it basically leads this whole situation that's not really that much of a situation as we find out. Because Doug seems to think like, oh, he kind of has like that underlying feeling like, oh no, this is going to get back to Patty. And she's not going to
Yeah.
want to go with me.
Yeah, yep. Which is interesting that, like, I don't know, like, wasn't, and this is maybe like Skeeter's point, and this is Disney knowing they were just fucking this shit up, was like, Doug, don't you have a girlfriend and her name is Patty? Like, did that not happen at this point? You're on season 7, and she was like a love interest from season 1. Like, this is not a Friends scenario where Ross and Rachel, like, never. Well, no, they did get together, didn't they? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
They had a
The
baby.
thing is,
and then they
in-
split,
in-
and then they. I don't know.
In Doug, they like never really, as far as I remember, any of the Nickelodeon episodes, I don't remember them ever like becoming a couple. but also that's because they're, really, really young. And
Yeah.
now as an adult looking back, like a 12, 13-year-old in a relationship is just a really weird thing, to be honest.
Well,
Yeah.
then why write a storyline around it? Like, they had a perpetual
Because that's what the
storyline.
kids. So here's the thing, and this is, me saying as somebody who used to watch the show back in the day and shows like this, is back when you're that age, like 10, 11, 12, you don't realize how weird it would be to actually have a girlfriend at that age, to have a boyfriend at that age, because it's just like, what the fuck do you do? It's basically just a friend of the opposite sex that you get to be awkward around.
That's
Well,
true.
let's just remember it's been made very clear whatever they're going to do, there will be no fucking at this barbecue.
It's true. Explicitly no fucking.
Explicitly.
I just imagine there being a sign that says "No fucking at the barbecue."
Oh my god, I want to go put that up at a
What do
barbecue
the
now.
what do the stick figures on the side look like?
I was thinking more like a sign that just said no fucking. And then everybody's walking around going, no fucking what? Like,
Anything.
somebody graffitis it and
Not
puts
fuck
like
anything.
no, somebody graffitis it and it says like no fucking way. So I don't know. It's a whole thing. They're in middle school.
Like,
But
because the thing is, back then, like, in like middle school, well, not middle school, but more in like high school, I always felt like it was just like, oh man, I'm the weird kid that never is going to have a girlfriend while I'm still in school. And that's the way it played out, but like looking back, it's just like not the worst idea.
no, because like having a girlfriend in middle school was like, oh, I have the responsibility of having a girlfriend that I know I'm literally not going to marry because you don't marry somebody that you date in
Yeah,
middle
because
school.
come on.
And you also
This is in the Midwest.
yeah, you don't have any money. You don't have any money. You can't drive a car. Like, you can't do shit. So it's like, oh, I could have been playing video games, but let's sit here really awkwardly while I contemplate trying to hold your hand.
And right now, I imagine there is like a couple, a 13-year-old couple that get together and play video games, and they're just hanging out as, and that they are boyfriend and girlfriend, but they're cool with each other because they have a lot of things in common, and you just don't, you've never witnessed this.
I mean,
Like I feel like you don't think this happens, but I feel like there are kids that around that actually it does work.
yeah.
Oh
there's-
no, there definitely is.
Probably because they
I'm
don't
just
call it-
saying, like
probably
in the
'cause they don't-
context
they don't
of
call it boyfriend and girlfriend though. That's the problem. Is they don't call it that. It's a boy and a girl that like play video games together. They're 13 years old, and every once in a while they make out, and they just don't put a label on it, and that's why it works. And then a couple years later, they'll put a label on it because they're like, well, listen, we've been fucking. So
My fucking lady friend.
because they took down that sign at the beach. That's what stops the kid is the fucking sign. You put it in writing, and kids just
these goddamn signs, man.
right.
Yeah.
They really respect it when it's in writing.
Yeah.
You tell them up and down, and they're just like, nah, I'm gonna keep fucking. I'm gonna keep on fucking. You put one sign up, it stops the whole thing.
It does.
That's the
It really
problem,
does.
though, because in the deep south where there's a lot of teen pregnancy, because we're just gonna stereotype the shit out of this. It's because
Yeah.
there's not enough people that know how to read the signs that they put.
Ow! God damn it,
God.
Keith! I'm tethered to
goes-
this computer.
There goes our viewership in the
I
South.
knew it.
I
Yeah,
I just laughed so hard I pulled
Wait.
the earphones out.
Tom, you think podcasts reach
Headphones,
the
whatever
South?
they're called.
Well, they can't read, Keith. What else are they going to do?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, what is really the South?
What are you talking about?
I was hoping you were going to try to answer that and not laugh at it. It's like a distraction.
Oh, God. Keith, please proceed. Tell us. What is this?
Southern Hemisphere, of course.
Okay.
What did you think I meant?
You feel like... do you feel like you're kind of walking into a trap all of a sudden?
Tom, every conversation I have with you is like walking into a trap of some sort.
Poor Keith.
I've known you for 20 years, Tom. It's not a surprise. Most of them I walk into on purpose because we both laugh about it.
Hello, dear listeners. It's your old pal Tom here, real quick to ask for your assistance in helping us grow the podcast by leaving us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Also, if you enjoy the show, or at least Keith hasn't offended you yet, why not share it with your pals and family?
So,
yeah.
back to the episode. So that's basically like part one of the episode. The conundrum, the setup. And we move into the build-up. So this is Skeeter repetitively trying to remind Doug, after Doug was basically like, but I don't want to go with Cassandra, I want to go with Patty. And then Skeeter is putting in all this effort trying to help his friend, like, hey, like, go ask Patty. Like, what are you doing, fool? Go ask Patty. Go ask Patty. Please go ask Patty. And then Doug's like, but all these other guys are coming up to me congratulating me on going with Cassandra. So he's like, I'll ask Patty later. And he's just immediately succumbed to peer pressure about this older girl that everybody else is apparently enamored with. And Doug was too, but like, come on, Doug. So,
he's enamored by the idea of it. And he even has like
yeah.
close friends like BB like pressuring him to go with her so she can increase her own social status.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, I don't know if you guys noticed, the school is the shape of her goddamn head.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't either. Wow.
So
Yeah.
her parents
Yeah,
probably
because
like,
her father is like ridiculously rich.
Mm.
Yeah, and they built the school.
Oh,
I
gotcha.
do remember that about the show. Is that like she came from crazy rich family, so she was super disconnected. Speaking
Steer
about
this ship.
speaking about some weird people,
We're on the rocks.
so there's I wrote it down because I didn't remember their names. It's Al and Moo, but I wrote it down as two weird kids. They apparently got their
Yeah, the
hands on
Bleens.
some explosive materials and launch a rocket with flyers about the party into the atmosphere. And the flyers explode everywhere, and then aliens find them. And for some reason, the aliens somehow know that Doug is going on a date with Cassandra. And then the aliens seem pretty jealous about that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's really weird for aliens to be like, oh, I found this flyer. I know about Doug. He's going to date an 8th grade girl. I wish I can date an 8th grade girl. And I'm like, how old are those aliens? That's like, what's...
Whoa, yeah. I'm pretty sure that was just an exaggeration of the show.
Oh, it
I don't
definitely
think
was.
aliens exist in the Doug universe.
Well, I
but
think-
this scene
Alien pedophiles.
did make me. Oh God.
Oh,
I mean, the thing is,
tentacles somewhere.
Doug
damn it,
does,
Disney! Damn it!
Doug does his own, like, his
Disney
own
tentacles.
daydreams, right? Like, Doug does, like, his own daydreams throughout the episode
Yeah.
at times. But, like, Doug was not in this scene. It's not a daydream. And Disney was just like, let's put some fucking aliens in here. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, like a quick goof, I guess.
It was a quick goof, but it was just out of place for what the show does. Like they do like the slapstick daydream. They don't do like the slapstick. Two high school students accidentally launched a rocket into outer space, and then aliens talked about like wanting
Yeah.
to date an 8-year-old or 8-year-old. That's even worse. An 8th grader.
Wow.
8-year-old, Jesus.
God damn.
Fucking Jesus, man. You said it.
So I did have one question for Tom.
Uh-oh.
In because in the scene, the two brothers, they launch the rocket and then they shake each other's hands. Now, how often while doing science things with other scientists do you guys shake each other's hands in like celebration? Is that just a normal thing you guys do?
Well, not since COVID.
Well, yeah.
I would imagine actually.
But is that like such a weird thing? Like, because I feel like that was like such a thing that a scientist would do. It's just like, oh, we've launched this rocket, put her there, you know?
Yeah, actually, no, handshaking is a thing we do. We do that, and even during COVID, I was just thinking, I remember we shook hands and then went right over the hand sanitizer bottles that are provided because, we're being
That's
safe,
funny.
but you have, when something works for the first time and you spent like
When
$5
science is
million,
done.
it's great. You have
Yeah.
to shake hands. It's a damn requirement.
I mean,
There should be a sign. Shake hands after science.
yeah,
And no fucking.
and no fucking.
Actually, that sign's up at the lab.
Oh yeah, I would imagine there's too much liquid
Okay.
nitrogen around that place to be fucking.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Don't think too hard about it. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
So, to Corey's earlier point, they're at like basically like an ice cream parlor or a diner. Doug's friend BB approaches. She's basically just like, "Oh, you got this date with Cassandra." Like, and Doug's like, "I don't know. I kind of want to go with Patty." And BB's just like, "Fuck you. You're going with Cassandra. You're gonna introduce me to all her friends. Like, don't be a pussy." And that's BB being a great rich friend, just disconnected from everything except for social prestigism and money. And then Doug has a weird daydream, speaking about the daydreams that he has, about him and Cassandra basically being lifeguards on a beach, kind of like Baywatch, where they then just agree to run in slow motion.
It had the best line.
Best line. Oh, I got it.
The best line.
She turns to Doug and says, "What are you thinking?" And he responds, "Thoughts. Cool thoughts."
Thoughts. Cool thoughts.
God damn. I mean,
Oh, you got that in stereo.
that is the best response to that.
That
question.
was the best part of the episode.
Yeah.
It really was.
So
That got a genuine laugh from me.
Yeah, me too.
So, meanwhile, like Roger is trying to like rib him about stuff, and so like Doug's like daydream turns into him being really cool with Cassandra, into imagining how uncool 7th graders are, and how the Roger says they're compared to like comparatively 7th graders are like little kids or toddlers or something compared to 8th
Kindergartners.
graders. Yeah, kindergartners. There you go. So Doug imagines that, and he's just kind of deflated. But he finds Cassandra at that same diner or ice cream. I think it's like an ice cream shop that they're at.
It kind of feels like one of
It's
those
their usual
50s
hangout.
ice cream shop.
Yeah, it's a 50s hangout. It looks like an ice cream shop, but it will, like the outside has a big ice cream cone on it, and I'm pretty sure they're there for ice cream, but like the seats, like the booth seating looks very 50s diner-esque.
Yeah, and the sign they have above the menu that says "No fucking" is done in a style very much reminiscent of the 1950s.
Actually, I believe they called them malt shops because they did like malted milkshakes. That was like the original. If you go back to like the Back in the
Yeah, I
Back
think
to the
you're right.
Future
Yeah.
movies and whatnot. So it was the no fucking malted milk shop. Do not fuck the malted milkshakes.
Yes.
So
How could you?
I mean,
Don't,
it's not
Keith,
as
don't.
it's not
That's
as
a
bad
lot of
as
willpower.
it's not as bad as liquid nitrogen. I will guarantee
True.
that.
True.
I mean, it's gonna be cold, but you know. So Doug finds Cassandra. She's at the opposite side of the no fucking malted milk shop, and he talks to her, and she's like, "Oh, do you have an answer for me?" And he's like, "Of course, I'd like to." And she goes, "Great." And then that's that, and Doug's locked into it, and then I mean, she trapped him. Like
Totally.
that's a trap.
Yeah, he had a butt for her, but she cut him off.
Absolutely.
I'd
And
like to, but
she's a year older, so she saw it coming too. On top of it, and she was like, "Boom, gotcha." And he sees Patty, and he's like imagining Patty's disappointment, and it's like, boom, back to back, going right into another dream sequence. And Patty's like, "Oh, I'm so disappointed, blah, blah, blah." And it's like black and white, old school movie style. And she's like, "I'm moving to Antarctica to, I don't know, deal with my grief."
get over you.
Yeah. And then, like, it goes back to reality, and Patty's just like, "Oh, I heard you're going with Cassandra. Oh, congratulations. Like, we're going to have so much fun." And I thought that was strange, too, because I'm like, given their history, shouldn't Patty be mad that he's just randomly going with another girl?
Well, no, because they're 12. Who the fuck cares?
But I thought that's the whole thing, though, is like I thought that Doug and Patty had like somewhat of this like slightly middle school romantic history where like they were kind of dating, but like not officially
No.
dating, according to Doug and
As
Skeeter.
far as I know, the status quo is always that Doug has a crush on Patty Mayonnaise, but Patty Mayonnaise has no idea. They're just friends.
All right, then I gotta ask, and this is just because it's one of the few episodes I can remember, the liver and onions episode. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That sounds familiar, yes.
I believe he gets invited over to Patty's house for dinner,
Yeah, he
but they're
can't
gonna.
stomach liver and onions.
Yeah, and she jokingly says something like, "Oh, we're having your favorite liver or onions," and
yep.
he takes it seriously, and he's freaked out about it, and eventually he has to try it, and he ends up learning to like it, and he gets there and realizes, oh shit, she was
They're
just kidding.
having like hot dogs and hamburgers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, this girl invited him over. I didn't think they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but I figured, okay, there's somewhere in between friends and boyfriend girlfriend. Like, I thought there was some hint of some kind of relationship there, but they were never going to take it to the next level because they were children.
Well,
But
Yeah, and they're never going to take it to the next episode because you need to maintain the status quo for the kids.
yeah. So like it's almost like an
yeah.
episodical reset where like every
Yeah.
single episode you're resetting their relationship back to Doug pines for her and she doesn't know that. And it's like no matter how many strides, oh my god, it's like 50 First Dates and she's Drew Barrymore where she just does not remember all of the awesome shit that Doug does for her. So he's constantly trying to earn her affection and Doug is actually Adam Sandler. Which is honestly the biggest tragedy of the whole thing, because who the fuck wants to be Adam Sandler? Damn.
God damn it, Keith. First you alienate the Southerners, and now you alienate Adam Sandler? We're
Well,
losing all our listeners.
All of them.
I mean, to be honest, Adam Sandler's just one of our many listeners. I mean, he's got a small entourage that he does movies with. So, like, granted, we lost Kevin James and David Spade, but you know what? Fuck those guys.
Oh god.
God damn it, Keith.
Just kidding. Kevin James, you're cool. David Spade, you could suck it.
What the hell?
What? What? You're telling me if you had to choose one, he wouldn't be Kevin James?
Between Kevin James and David Spade, huh?
Yeah. You choose the
Honest-
fat guy.
Honestly, I think of David Spade, and I think of him and Tommy Boy, and I love Tommy Boy so much that I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Kevin James, but I'm gonna pick David Spade just because I have more.
No, make it apples to apples. If you had to pick David Spade or Chris Farley, the skinny guy or the fat guy, who you picking?
In their current state.
No. in the movie
That's
state.
awful.
In the movie state.
Ah, damn.
You know Chris
Richard
Farley's way
or Tommy?
fucking better.
God damn it, Keith.
Tom-
Is this a weight issue? Are
Tommy,
you trying to
no,
say
I'm
fat
just-
people are funny and skinny people aren't?
As a fat guy, I think that I'm going to say I hope fat people are funny.
Well, thanks for disproving it.
Ouch.
Wow, that one comment.
Ouch.
I literally almost killed Cory 20 minutes ago through humor or shock value, which if you according to Family Guy is humor. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tom.
Keith,
Tom,
you know,
you're not a
as a
listener
representative of all the fat people, I feel like you kind of just have one foot in, one foot out.
God damn it! Am I not? I'm not fat enough, but I'm also not.
No.
Damn
Yeah,
it.
you don't get to talk about fat people.
Damn it! This is like. God damn it! I
back
can't
on
even.
the other side of the
I
line,
can't. I
Keith.
can't even use the analogy I want to use because I'm gonna get a whole bunch of heat for that. God damn it!
I think I know the analogy.
Yeah, you probably do, Cory. You probably fucking do.
It's probably in reference to me.
You're not far off. That's about as close as I'm going to touch that with the 10-foot pole.
All right, so back on the subject of Doug.
So now that this episode is ruined, because you guys already said it was ruined, now I'm saying it's ruined. So
I thought it was going swimmingly.
Yeah, I think it's going pretty good, Keith. What the hell are you talking about?
fucking great. Yeah,
Why'd you have to ruin it?
Cory's gonna edit this to make me look fucking fantastic. So
Don't I always, Keith?
yeah, that's true, because what you do is you just take the episode and go, good enough. No changes. The opposite of the Mad Hatter. So, we get back to basically, so Doug does his whole daydream thing. Roger's trying to psych him out, whatever. The weird kids, as I have put it, Al and Moo, they reveal a Datarama machine, which is really just a glorified jukebox on wheels that is playing music and flashing lights while they're just like, 2 girls are going to win dates with us, because these dudes, they are about inventing things and suddenly about trying to find dates but don't know how to do it without inventing something. So they spool up this Datarama machine with all this music and lights, and then before they can get the many women who would definitely volunteer to be their dates, it breaks and sets fire, and then everyone has to flee the restaurant. So that's that. And then after that, actually cuts to the next scene where they're being super creepy because they set up an automatic phone calling system that basically calls every female in town and gives them the option of press 1 to date Al, press 2 to date Mo, press 3 for both. And it's like, whoa.
Ew.
The press 3 for both was to me, that was a little risque.
That's I'm sorry, I don't want to be in a relationship, a 3-way relationship with my brother. That's weird.
These guys are obviously twins, so if you are
That
and I'm
doesn't change anything.
I'm not saying it's right, but if you're
He is.
if you're identical twins and it's the same DNA, I'm not saying you should do it, but is it you were part of the same embryo?
So
I'm not saying it's right. I wouldn't do it, but I'm just saying that that's the argument that people would have.
See, the only person here who should be arguing for that is actually Tom.
Wait, because of science?
Well, no, because we're both married, and at the very least,
So wait,
the
he's
best
the only one
argument
that can fuck
no,
his
no, no,
brother?
no, the best.
You're like, Tom's the only one with a brother that's not married.
No, Tom's
No,
the
my
only one
brother's
of us
married.
that
I
could-
can't fuck.
Well, yeah,
I can't
but
fuck my brother.
But Tom, but you're not. So why are you gonna let
Tom,
that stop you?
Tom, your brother being married is not the barrier for entering your brother.
God damn it!
But what I was getting at is, Keith, we're both married. Tom's the only one that has a chance to make that argument with twins.
Oh, okay, I see. So if it was me with two twins, okay, I get it. I don't know why I automatically assumed it would be my brother and me.
Yeah. You know what though, Tom? I'd like to take this moment to say that's how open and accepting we are of same-sex relationships. That we just thought, you know what? Maybe instead of Tom fucking two female twins, maybe he just wants to fuck his own brother. Oh god.
I was trying to put myself in Alan Moo's shoes. Moo's shoes.
Emotions. You know, it's kind of interesting that, and I get it's a kids' TV show, but like, if they spent all this effort on these machines to get women, they could have just made a fuck robot, right?
Oh, God.
No, because there would be a sign above
no
that says no
fucking-
Oh, there's
fucking.
no fuck. Oh, the robot would get kicked off of the beach real quick. That's true.
Yep.
God damn it. That's the theme of this episode.
Yep.
Biggest thing about the phone call part is there's like, I guess maybe the middle-aged to old lady that like got called by I hope
Yeah.
mistake that actually says yes to both.
Oh. Well,
Oh,
does,
yeah.
does it? Well, like I assumed that she hit 3. Did she hit 3? Like I didn't.
She hit 3.
She hit.
She
3.
hit 3.
So this old lady was just like, I have not been pitchforked in so long. Like, let's go to Paris.
It's Keith. I think it's called spit roasting.
Oh, spit roasting. That's what it is. You're
I
right.
haven't
You're
been
right.
pitchwforked.
God
She's trying to
damn.
get.
This she
Trying
wants
to
a
get
guy
Eiffel
with a
Tower down
3-pronged
there.
dick.
Yep. Oh, God damn it.
Sorry. That's when you said pitchforking. I'm like, what the hell is pitchforking? Is this something I don't know about? And then I just imagined it, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Check her dictionary. I'm sure it is.
Well, Tom, I mean, if you're getting seduced by an automated phone system asking who you want to date or multiple people, I mean, you have to assume you're going to get murdered. So you're literally going to get pitchforked. Like that's the
You're so skinny, Keith.
Well, no, actually, in a roundabout way, the pitchforking thing checks out because it's the devil's threesome.
Oh,
thanks,
yeah. That's pretty good. Okay,
It's
we'll let
weird
it go.
when you start doing Urban Dictionary math in your head.
Yep.
And you come to the right answer.
Yeah,
the
Very
devil's
nice.
threesome.
very good.
So after that, we're moving on to the actual escalation of the whole episodical situation, which is Doug shows up at Cassandra's house for the date. Makes a fool of himself, trying to, like, somebody puts on sunglasses and he's like, ooh, I got my sunglasses, which he tried earlier in the episode in front of his dog. His dog, what's his dog's name?
Pork,
Pork
chop.
chop.
Pork chop. His dog can take sunglasses and twirl them around and put them on his face. And then Doug tries it and he twirls them around and they go flying. So then Doug, after trying that once and failing horribly, gets to this girl's house. Somebody puts on sunglasses and he goes, this is my shot. twirls them around. They bang off every fucking wall in the room and end up landing in like a giant vase or vase if you're super fancy. And then he has to stick
That was a vase.
oh,
every time we get to that word, Keith is gonna do the same thing.
I'm gonna do it every time. So then he sticks his arm in, and then his arm gets stuck, and he needs Cassandra's mom to like pull the thing off of his arm to get his sunglasses back. And then Cassandra's like, "Oh, see, mom, I told you he was funny." It's like, no, he's a fucking seventh grader. He's just super fucking awkward, and he's literally just he doesn't know how to not be super fucking awkward. So, so anyway, they leave and they end up like Doug's mom drops them off and they end up talking and Cassandra's like, "Oh, I can't wait to introduce you to my friends, like this person, this person, this person." I didn't write them down because they're a bunch of shitbags. And Doug's like, "Oh, like I can't wait to introduce you to like Patty and BB and Skeeter." And she's just like, "Oh, you think I'm gonna hang out with a bunch of seventh graders?" And that's like the like the gut punch. And like
Yeah.
Doug's in seventh grade though, so like the comment doesn't make sense. coming
It's
out of
like,
her mouth.
yeah, I was just gonna say, but you'll date a seventh grader, but you're not gonna hang out with with seventh graders. Okay.
Yeah,
Well-
so this entire episode, I've been wondering, like, is this like one of those tropes where it's like she's only dating him to basically, like in other shows, it'd be like a girl would ask a dork or a nerd on a date just to like have that guy pick her up from the house, and then she actually meets like her hoodlum delinquent boyfriend that her parents don't want him to date, kind of thing. And that's what I was trying to figure out what the setup here was. Like, why is she actually going out on this date? And I think this is a testament to literally how bad the writing is in this episode, and probably
Absolutely.
throughout the entire
Yeah.
Disney age of
Oh,
the
yeah.
show. Because it's just like, why did you guys come up with this? This is such a horrible storyline. Keith,
Honestly-
I'll let you continue.
I had the thought at one point of like along the same lines, but it was more so like she was trying to act like Doug was her date to like get back at like an ex-boyfriend to be like, "Oh, I'm dating this loser, which is way cooler than you," kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, like something like that, or like maybe it was a prank that they were trying to plan
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was gonna be geared towards being a prank on Doug.
But that's the thing
yeah.
is, if it
And
was
any one of those options would be better than what it actually is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because if it was her saying that one comment of like, "Oh, you think I'm gonna hang out with seventh graders?" Like that would have blown up her spot if it was actually a prank. So it wasn't. So they get to the beach party, like they walk up and Skeeter comes over and he's like, "Oh, you guys could be on my croquette team because they're gonna play croquette." Which honestly, croquette's
Wait.
fucking baller.
Wait,
so
Can we pronounce
how
it right one
how are you pronouncing that?
croquet. Sorry, I cook.
Yeah, I was gonna
cook-
say they're
I
they're
cook
not playing croquettes like chicken croquettes. They're
I cook too much food. They're spelled very similarly. And honestly, I really like a croquette right now.
me too. You made me
They're
hungry.
delicious. Actually, you know
I'm
what's
going to
great
be
is-
honest. I don't know what that is, but if you make it, I'll eat it.
Oh man.
Oh, you would love it.
Ham croquettes? You've never had ham croquettes.
No, because I have no idea what a croquette is, Keith.
You need to explain, Keith.
It's
I have no idea what a croquette is.
Every once in a while, I make ham croquettes. Usually after Easter, when we have a bunch of ham left. And what you do is you take it sounds weird, honestly, if I go to explain this, but like it's delicious. You take a bunch of ham, right? It's cooked ham, and you blend it, and then you make what they call like a bechamel, which is like a cream sauce, and you blend that in with the ham, and then you refrigerate it, and then you form that ham cream sauce that's like nicely seasoned into like finger-shaped logs, and then you bread them and deep fry them, and you basically have it's like a fancy ham chicken nugget kind of thing. It's They're delicious.
Yeah, I'd fuck those up.
Yeah, they're very flavorful. They're super crispy, crunchy on the outside, and they're like perfectly like smooth and creamy on the inside, kind of thing. It's like a rich person's chicken nugget, but you can make it out of any meat you want.
The important thing to note is you don't play with them on a beach.
That's true. You do not hit them with mallet. Well, you can if you want to hit a
You
bunch of
can.
croquettes. Oh God, I can't even like.
It's a waste.
Croquette. They're too similar. Sorry, but so they're playing croquet, and that's the last time I'm gonna say that word because I'm just gonna.
That was a lot of work right there.
I'm gonna fuck it up every time from here on out. I'm gonna be like, you guys want to eat some croquettes? No, wait, that was the right word.
Yes, we do want to eat those, Keith.
I can't even fuck it up if I want to. I don't know. Maybe I'm good. So, anyway, Skeeter asked them if they want to play that stupid game with the fucking mallets, and Cassandra basically forces Doug's like, "Fuck yeah, awesome, let's do it." And Cassandra's like, no, we're gonna go hang out with my friends." And then Skeeter's just kind of like, "All right, like." Have fun. See ya. So Skeeter goes off to Al and Moo because those guys are just great. And they didn't. He's like, "Hey, did you guys get dates?" And they're like, "Nope." And he's like, "Let's play some mallet ball game that I'm not going to say again." And and then Doug meets Cassandra's friends, who immediately ask him, like, she's just like, "Hey, look, this is Doug." They're like, "Say something fucking funny, Doug. Your name's Doug Funny." Cassandra says you're funny. Like, that's like meeting somebody that's a comedian. Just be like, "Oh, you're a comedian? Tell me a fucking joke right now."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
In
that.
this fucking moment.
On the spot.
Oh, man, I felt so bad for Doug. Like, that was awful.
Yeah. So eighth graders are basically pieces of shit,
Yeah.
and I stand by that.
Oh God, there goes all our 8th grade listeners.
Shouldn't have had those anyway.
No,
Should
it's
not
okay.
have had them anyway.
David Spade is already not listening.
What? Oh, you're so mean to David Spade.
Just kidding. Love you, David Spade. You're fine.
No, he doesn't.
Just not when you have a mustache. It's weird.
He likes his
What?
David Spade freshly shaved.
Yes, I do. A man can have preferences.
Yeah, I'm not knocking you
so-
for it.
So these eighth graders end up pressuring Doug into telling them jokes so hard that he actually has social anxiety and like ends up puking from it,
Yeah.
which they
Yeah.
think is funny.
Yeah, so that turns it around. Like, Doug tries to tell a joke, which was gonna be probably lame. I mean, he doesn't get to the end because they just ridicule him, which in a kid's show, basically showing how to ridicule somebody by interrupting them is kind of hard. You're almost teaching kids, like, "Hey, you want to make somebody puke from being nervous? Just put them on the spot in a secluded area in front of 4 people and then make them feel like shit." And then he pukes, and then they're like, "Oh man, that was so funny. Let's keep you around."
Yeah, they invite
And then
him
they
to the
start-
8th grade field trip.
Yeah, and they start shit talking all of his friends very specifically, like, "Oh, BB, she." Well, actually, I don't remember what they say about BB, but like they're like, "Oh, Patty Mayonnaise, she thinks she's Little Miss Perfect." They call Skeeter Blue, which I thought was racist as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody has different skin colors in this because it's a cartoon, and you're gonna call him Blue?
Which is funny though,
Blue
because
Boy.
that would not have happened in
Yeah.
the original, but you know Disney is fucking racist.
There goes all our listeners
Whoa.
at Disney.
There goes our Disney sponsorship.
Oh no!
God damn, Keith.
Walt Disney, that's frozen in carbonite, basically. He's not gonna listen now.
He's not,
Not
the one that makes
anymore.
all the decisions.
Oh, he does from beyond the frozen grave. They froze him cryogenically. They did.
Yeah, so Doug ends up telling off
I like how Corey's just
all
taking
these
over.
eighth graders.
No, he tells them off
And
though after they go. They go through his friends and they go, and Patty, she thinks she's
yeah, that was the
so
last straw.
perfect. Like the thing is though was saying like she thinks she's so perfect, and he was like, "That's the last fucking straw," because Patty's a piece of shit. She is not perfect. Like, why did he fight them on that? That's just like it was one of
Yeah,
those
it
things, like,
doesn't matter that they were just racist towards his best friend.
yeah, but they literally said a compliment in a derogatory way. They're like, they think she's so perfect, and they didn't actually say anything bad about her other than that, like, what, she's full of herself. Like, they had nothing to give on that front. And he's like, wait a fucking minute. Like, I mean,
I'll be honest. I think Patty Mayonnaise is like one of the worst parts of the show.
I hate her
overall.
voice.
Yeah.
Her voice is so fucking annoying.
Like I've just never, like normally in a show like this, if someone's gonna have a crush for the entire duration of the series, the person they're crushing on should at least be somewhat appealing.
Or have some sort of
And-
character depth.
And like I don't know how it worked for anybody else here, but like I feel like when you're growing up through those years, like sure you have a crush here and there. I feel like every year I had a different crush. Mm-hmm. But for him to be crushing on her that entire time, despite the fact that I don't know if it's multiple people, but I know very specifically there's an episode in the original series before Disney took over where Connie, one of the girls, the purple hair one with the green skin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She like legitimately is into Doug, and he like kind of, if I'm remembering correctly, he like completely like blows her off for like I think they had like a Sadie Hawkins Day dance episode where like you have to get the girl to ask the boy or whatever,
Yeah.
and like she was trying to ask Doug because she legitimately likes him, and he just was kind of trying to avoid her to give Patty time to ask him. And it's just like I think back to then, and it's just like when I was a kid, hell, if I had a crush and some other girl asked me out or something, that's probably the most attractive thing, is someone liking you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like back then,
You know?
the fact of somebody showing it, like putting themselves out there and showing interest in you is absolutely, at that age, I mean, even later on in life, that is an attractive thing, because at the end of the day, you want to be in a relationship with somebody that wants to be in a
Wants to be
relationship
in a
with you.
relationship, and not someone that's just like you constantly have to chase. That's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, it's like some people
Yeah.
get stuck. Like there's some people that get stuck on the chase, but like for the most part, like, I mean, it's fine to chase people. I've chased people in my life, and
sounds
and
like a
it's
fucking threat.
well, I've
They're an admission of guilt.
I've full out sprinted chase people. No, but like the
And
thing
I
is,
caught him.
there's a certain amount of like exhilaration you get out of the chase and the play and like the back and forth of like, is this gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? Like, are we actually gonna date? Like, I think they're flirting with me. Are they flirting with me? Like, there's a certain amount you get out of that. But at the end of the day, like, if you have somebody that you weren't considering or didn't know come up and they're like, oh, like, and they're very honest about it. They're like, hey, I like you. Like, that tends to just be like a very like rocking moment where you're just like, really? Like, all right. Like, that's the way that I always came from. It was like, if somebody, like, when I found out that somebody liked me, which didn't happen very often, go figure, it was one of those things where I was like, because actually most of the times this happened was like well after the fact, where like they were like already married and they were like, oh yeah, like back when we used to hang out, like I totally liked you. And I'm like, wait a fucking second,
Yeah.
you liked me. I liked you back then. What? And they're just like, and then they're fucking awkward because like this happened like years ago when I was not with my wife, and like and then but this person was with somebody or married, and then I was just like, what, huh? And then I was just like, God damn it, like, because that's the thing though, is that like if everybody just said their opinions to people as they felt them, especially in like the romantic relationship setting, you'd either just get the judge on whether or not you should chase someone or you shouldn't. And then sometimes if they didn't realize it, like they could realize it at that point, and then maybe it would turn into a thing. I don't know. That's like the whole show, Doug, is that like nothing ever gets fucking said.
Yeah, nothing ever evolves because for all we know, Patty could have absolutely no romantic interest in Doug,
Yeah.
and he could have figured that out in season 1 if he was just a little bit more open and direct. But then again, we wouldn't have a series. Like that's like
it
one
wouldn't
of
be
the
a fucking TV
staples.
show.
Yeah, that's like one of the staples of the show. Like if you have to explain the show to somebody, the easiest thing to explain is that you have Doug, who constantly is daydreaming, is a relatively normal kid aside from that, and oh yeah, he has this crush on this girl named Patty Mayonnaise, and a lot of the hijinks revolve around stuff like that.
And well, don't forget, there's 2 other parts to that. He has a dog named Pork Chop.
Oh yeah, they really underutilized Pork Chop this episode.
In this episode.
Oh, yeah.
And then he has a friend named Skeeter.
Also underutilized, although he was around at least.
But like, let's think. I mean, granted, his friend named Skeeter was created in the 90s. I think this show was in.
Yeah,
But
early
like,
90s.
his name is something that has been turned into a pretty raunchy act.
Oh God, Keith, where are you going with this?
I'm just saying.
There's no fucking Keith.
I'm just saying Skeeter's gonna
What?
skeet.
Oh no, is this the part where we have to explain to Tom what skeet means?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're
Tom-
gonna have
Oh
to.
my
Tom, you
God,
don't know what
Tom!
skeet means?
You never watched the Chappelle Show? You never listened to Lil Jon?
I
skeet,
have.
skeet, motherfucker. Oh,
I've
skeet,
heard
skeet,
that. I
goddamn.
just-
You just
honestly,
didn't know what it meant.
I thought he was talking about skee ball.
That is Tom. This is one white guy saying this to another white guy.
Oh.
That's the most white guy thing I've ever fucking heard. Oh God.
I have a headache from
Ski,
laughing.
ski, ski.
No, Tom. No. That is not. And if you do that on a skee ball machine, that's how you get thrown out of the arcade.
Yeah, they're gonna have to put up a no fucking sign in the
Oh
arcade
God.
now.
So.
So, what would you guys rate this episode of Doug? How many pork chops out of 10?
Did we finish it? Did we
Oh
go
yeah,
through the
that's,
whole
That's
thing?
pretty much
that's
the end, right?
essentially it. Yeah, Doug finds out that Cassandra only invited him so they could basically make them laugh through Doug's humiliation. He, like, when they go through his friends and they make fun of them all, he basically just cracks on Patty for being too perfect, and he's like, "Ah, fuck you guys." And then he goes and plays croquet with his friends.
He said it again.
And he has fun. I said it right. Fuck you.
You did,
And then-
but you said you weren't going to say it.
I tried really hard. Did you hear the emphasis?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm proud of you.
Because I'm hungry and I want croquettes. So then he comes to the realization that real friends don't laugh when you throw up. And then,
Yep.
and then at the end of the
a
episode,
weird
Cassandra.
lesson to learn.
No, at the end of the episode, Cassandra is dancing with Al and Moo.
Yes.
So they're gonna totally pitchfork her.
Oh my God.
Ouch.
Because between the two of them, they have 3 dicks, and they don't.
Wait,
They never
wait,
tell
what?
you that. It's canon.
Skeet, 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 skeet.
Hey, I thought you didn't know what that meant.
I don't. I'm just
does now.
picking up from context clues.
That was that was very on point because they probably will. So
Now I
Gotta tear
know.
down those signs first.
Yeah.
so to Corey's point, the ratings of this episode, and I'm disappointed, and I'll go first, and it's I want to watch another very much earlier episode of Doug to re-rate Doug at some point, but I gotta say this episode was like a straight up 3.
Yeah, I would say 4 for me. I actually had written down 5.5,
Damn.
and
You're
then
generous.
the more I thought about it and the more we talked about it, I had to lower it to a 4.
I feel like if
It's such a poor representation of the show, and I really wish we didn't do this one first, but
yeah, I feel
um
like for the amount of material it gave us to shit on, I would rate it like an 8. But for
yeah.
actually wanting to watch another episode that was this weak and this just like not true to the original show, I'm just rating it a 3 because like Disney
Keith,
fucked the pooch on this one.
I'm gonna give it 3 pork chops myself. I know we weren't rating in pork chops, but I'm voting or rating it 3 pork chops. Uh, yeah, I thought about it. I wanted to give it a 2 because I've always hated the show, but you know, I laughed at that Baywatch scene. You know, the cool thoughts. You know that got a laugh, so I bumped it up to a 3.
Yeah.
But I was not impressed. I thought it was just it didn't resonate with me. It didn't make me want to watch the show anymore. I was just like, I'm glad this is over. I, like I said
Yeah.
to Corey before, I think if the show had Mr. Dink in it and more Skeeter and more pork chop, I'd be all into it. But other than that, I don't give a crap about any of the other characters.
Yeah, I feel
So
like this is one of those shows that, in my mind, I'm probably not going to acknowledge the Disney era of this show
yeah.
Yeah.
because I back in the day when it first happened, cool, more Doug, awesome, but based on this one episode sample size of the writing and just like the general character decisions that they made, like the more you get into Doug, the more you realize that it's kind of like an even kid friendlier version of The Simpsons. You know how The Simpsons has like a large cast of characters that they could use.
Hmm.
Doug kind of has a very more scaled back version of that, where like there's a lot of like every kid in his class gets some screen time generally. Like hell, we
Hmm.
saw a bunch of characters from the past in this episode
Yeah.
congratulating him
Hmm.
and stuff like that. But the thing is, when they switched over to Disney, they made a whole bunch of character changes, not just to like Patty Mayonnaise. Doug pretty much remained unchanged, I think, at all. I think Skeeter's pretty much the same. Also, they changed BB a little bit. They changed Roger. One of
Mm.
the most egregious things they probably did was they sent the Connie character to fat camp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with
What?
her mom.
Oh god.
And both of them got skinny when they came to Disney.
Oh
And I thought that
no.
was like
Wow.
a really lame thing. Even back in the day, I thought that was just like kind of fucked up.
That is fucked up. I mean,
Wow.
we've all seen the movie Heavyweights, and the whole point of Fat Camp is to eat candy and fuck over Ben Stiller.
Yeah, and jump on the blob.
Yeah, and jump on the blob. Come on.
Hmm.
Like there's
Yeah,
this
I
like
just I just think it's a really weird
well
choice
it's,
to like
well it's a really
fat shame in a children's show.
yeah, no it is. Like that's like and that's my point though is that like the Heavyweights the movie was like that was the first thing that I saw because like I was a fucking heavy kid and like that was the first movie I ever saw where they were just like, oh yeah, we're fat shaming, and then like eventually it was just like, oh no, just the evil guy's doing it. Everybody else is super fucking supportive, like do what you want with your life kind of thing. And like that was like literally the only influence back then that was like, oh no, like just be okay with yourself and have fun. Like you don't have to constantly focus on your weight. Like I don't know. It's kind of fucked up for Disney to do that and like be like, oh, here's this overweight character that was built into a TV show that we're just gonna like, oh, we're gonna fix her. Like,
And the thing is, they're gonna do it basically over a summer break,
yeah, well, yeah,
and this character is like 12,
yeah.
kind of really fucked up.
So
in
her
my
mom
opinion,
just
but-
starved her for 3 months.
Well, as far as I understand, I think the mom lost weight too. Like they both went, kind of thing. It was just
Oh.
like such a weird choice they made to Disneyify it, but
Yeah.
That's weird.
yeah.
I mean,
So it's kind of like Star Wars in that regard, where I'll just not pay attention to the Disney era.
goddamn. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel bad shitting on this. It is what it is. It's Doug
We'll come back to Doug back when Doug, was good.
in a better.
We'll
yeah.
we'll give Tom a reason to like the show. We'll find an episode.
All right, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna make me watch another episode of Doug, I'm definitely gonna make you guys watch some One Piece.
You realize I'm fine with that, but you realize that all I'm going to do now is just be like, you know what? I'm going to show Doug to my daughter, and hopefully she likes it, and then I get to watch like the whole first season, and then I'm just going to pick
That's the trick.
yeah, and then I'm going to pick the best episode out of the first season because that'll take like 3 days for me to watch the first season.
That's how I
Well-
got to watch Pokemon a lot while I was babysitting.
There you go.
Well, Keith, are you talking first season of Nickelodeon, or are you talking first season of Disney's production?
Well, we're going to watch it on Disney Plus. But I would imagine that there's still the first season on Disney Plus
No.
is still. Is it not?
No,
It's
all of what so the thing I noticed most was the theme song was off. So the first thing I did was I went on Disney Plus to try and go back to episode 1, and it's still the same theme song, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And then that was the point when I realized, oh, Disney Plus only has the Disney episodes.
Oh, okay. All right. So I got to find another avenue.
Well, I mean, if you have a DVD player, I have the complete series on
Oh,
DVD.
shit. All right.
I've never actually watched it on DVD. I just ordered it like years ago when I saw it on Amazon or something like that. I was like, I'd love to have all of Doug. Now, I don't know if it has all of, both Nickelodeon and Disney. Maybe it's just one or the other. I'm assuming it's at least the first, part of it from
Cory,
Nickelodeon.
the thing is, though, is that for you, this could just be a business expense. Because, like, you're a collector. So now you could just be like, I collect Doug now. Like, it's like, and imagine the meme from, what is it, Captain Phillips with, like, I am the captain now. Like, I collect Doug now. Like, this is Cory just being like, this is my whim, so therefore I collect it.
Look at me. I collect Doug now.
Yeah. Exactly. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you could write it off.
Look at me. I collect board games now.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
No, you collect Catan.
I collect Catan and Dominion.
Oh, Dominion,
And Ticket
yeah.
to Ride. And Small World. And Splendor.
Oh, God. You're just looking around the room now at this point.
No, I'm just looking to the left. Those are the only games I have that. I mean, I technically collect Carcassonne, but in that sense, I just have a big box of like 11 expansions that I've never opened. We'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to three guys ramble about cartoons. If you'd like to ramble about our ramblings or what we rambled about, you can join the Cartoon Commentary Podcast group on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections for us, you can reach us at cartooncommentary.podcast@gmail.com. And until all are one, I've been Cory.
I've been Tom.
And I'm disappointed at Doug Keith.
I'm disappointed with Doug and Keith too.
Yeah. For a lot of things
Yeah.
at this point. Mostly the croquet croquet kind of thing you got going on there.
And the pitchfork.
Oh,
Yeah, that too.
yeah.
Well, good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Slits fights.
See you later, David
No,
Spade.
come on. Wrong episode.
Sounds-
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Cartoon Commentary, a podcast where three nematoids... Nope, I fucked that up. We're gonna start over.
Dick.